Hi everyone, my name's Matt, also known as the UKAstroNut, and I was thinking today, what are seasons? So there are 4 seasons in a year. Some of them are hot. Summer is hot, winter is cold. Why is it like this? Why is spring kind of like autumn? Why do they all fit into one year? All these kind of things. So I thought I would do a video and try and explain kind of what seasons are and why they happen and the physics behind them. It's really nice and simple, so it's a really nice video, but it's kind of interesting. So, okay, let's start at the very beginning. So we know that the Earth rotates around once around its axis, so it spins around once in 24 hours. So this is how we have night and day, because one side of the Earth is facing the sun, and it spins around, then 12 hours later it's not facing the sun, so it's dark, has no light, so it's nighttime, and then 12 more hours pass and it's facing the sun again, so that's daytime. So this takes 24 hours for the Earth to spin around its axis, and that's how we have a day. So then a year is the time it takes for the Earth to go around the sun once. So it takes one entire orbit around the sun. So it goes round back to the exact same position it is. And this takes 365 days, 1 year. So we have these two kind of things, and these two things are these kind of link to what a season is. So we know there are 4 seasons. You have winter, spring, summer, autumn, and they fit into the same year each time. I.e., winter always starts at the same time of the year, summer always starts at the same time of the year. So it kind of is, you can kind of get the idea that somehow seasons are probably linked to the year. Because they always fit so perfectly within 1 year, there must be something to do with a year that causes the seasons. I.e., there must be something to do with how the Earth goes around the sun, and that must cause seasons somehow. And it's all to do with the fact that the Earth is pretty laid back. It's pretty chilled, it's pretty relaxing, it's leaning back, so much so that the way that the Earth rotates is it rotates around something called an axis. This is sort of like an imaginary line, and the Earth spins around this imaginary line. Now, this line can be facing vertically upwards, i.e. so that as the Earth goes around the sun, it rotates sort of in the same plane as it's going around the sun, or it could rotate horizontally as well. But it rotates around 23 degrees, so it's kind of laid back. 45 degrees, 90 degrees is on its side, 0 is straight up, so 23 is sort of a quarter of the way there. And it's the fact that it has this angle of its axis, and it's so laid back, so to speak, that what causes the seasons. So what happens is, as the Earth goes around the sun, at one point in the Earth's orbit, the top of the Earth, either North Pole, because it's at an angle, would be facing more towards the sun. So in this case, we have summer in the North Pole and we have winter in the South Pole, because the South Pole is facing more away from the sun than the North Pole is. At the opposite time of the year, the South Pole faces the sun more than the North Pole. So in the south, in Australia, we have really lovely hot summers, and here in England we have miserable cold winters, which happen most of the year anyway, but in winter they're especially bad. And then you also have the 2 stages where the other 2 points in the Earth's orbit, where neither of the North or the South Pole are facing the sun any more than the other, because the way that the axis is aligned, it's sort of horizontal or perpendicular to the sun, and so the North and the South Pole get the same amount of light basically. And this is summer and this is spring and autumn. So this is when they get roughly the same amount of energy, and neither is warmer than the other basically. And then obviously you have all the sort of days in between where sort of spring turns into summer and autumn turns into winter and so on and so forth. But it's this angle, the angle of the axis around which the Earth spins, the Earth rotates, and this is what causes these seasons. We have 4 each year because of the way it is, because you basically have 4 sort of angles around the sun that the Earth can be. And so at some points the North Pole is facing the sun and getting more light, and sometimes it get more heat, and sometimes it's the South Pole. And this is what causes the seasons. Really nice and simple. Also, a lot of people sometimes think that because the Earth is in an elliptical orbit, i.e. at some points in the Earth's orbit it's closer to the sun than it is other points. This is because the Earth's orbit isn't perfectly sort of circular, it's slightly squashed. But this isn't anything to do with seasons. This is just per chance, and it doesn't really have much effect on the Earth. It just not on the weather basically. The seasons are really just to do with this slight leaning of the Earth, its axis rotation. I hope this is interesting. You kind of know now what seasons are, and it's really nice and simple, but it's really cool, and it's really fundamental level of just how the sort of the Earth is and how it rotates and how the solar system is. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at UKAstroNut, and check out the rest of my videos, and I will see you guys soon.